Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures. Today I have got one of the coolest boxes I have seen in some time. This is Artel W's Hydrophilia, which is their near future cyberpunk skirmish game that they've slowly been kind of releasing under the radar. It hasn't gotten a lot of hoopla or anything. I haven't seen a whole lot about it online, so I figured, what the hey, let's give it a shot. So the first thing I love is the fact that this looks like a beat-up old VHS tape. And if you grew up in the 80s and 90s, especially if you spent any time in the horror section, you should know this look. I mean, even look at like the little lines of the VHS cassette tape. Let's check this out, if I can open it. Oh, yeah. Look at that beauty. The only downside is there's no label. But considering they're going to use this for each of the starters, this is the Nishimura Flesh of Steel starter set. So even the back of the box has that old school cassette look to it. You can see here it's got all the info down there. So we have a couple of different models in here. We have Tetsui, 2 jackals, at least 1 beetle, at least 1 dragonfly, and the behemoth. So this is the more high-tech Japanese faction here, and it's got a whole little blurb about them. I'll let you read that on your own, because that's your job, not mine. Let's take a look at the actual models. So yeah, even the bottom, authentic cassette tapes. So first we've got a bunch of bases. This should give me a good idea of how many models to actually expect. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. That's a decent amount for a resin starter set for a boutique skirmish game. You have all of the cards included here. I don't think there's any rules included, but I could be wrong. I'm assuming this is a combat ruler. Looks to be. Okay, a lot of cards in there. Take a look at those later. Stack cards for all your models. I'm assuming these are upgrades of some kind. I'm pretty sure the rules are on their website. I'll have to take a look. So we have 6 models included. Let's take a look at what they are like. Resin, obviously. Alright, this should be the behemoth. Clear out some of the clutter there. Oh my goodness, there are lots of parts. The main body, missile launchers, various parts of the missile launchers. I'm assuming that's all the turret, and maybe this is the body. Yeah. So the legs are all one piece. They are a little bit modular in terms of ball joints. They look the same, so you can kind of position it however you want. If you are industrious and like playing with magnets, this is a perfect opportunity for you to magnetize that turret. Want to play a high-tech guard unit? Might be a fun one to think about getting some of those cannons for. Alright, what's in this one? I believe these are the dragonflies. Let's take a look. Tiny little pieces. Yeah, I think so. Nope, nope. This has got legs. And that would be the beetle then. Okay. See 4 legs here, and it's weapon, shell, whatever. Okay. Here's the dragonfly. Actually, dragonfly is just about 1 piece. There's a teeny tiny little part in there that I'm afraid I'm going to lose. It's like a mini VTOL. Actually, you could probably get away with using this in like some kind of 6mm, 15mm drone skirmish type game too. Alright, there's actually 2 guns in there, or options or something, I don't know. We'll leave them in there because I'm going to lose them otherwise. Alright, what's this? I believe this is a jackal. Huh. So the jackals are the mechs, and I'll be honest, I thought they were going to be a lot bigger. There's the legs, they got that kind of Anubis looking head, it's kind of neat. I was thinking if they were big enough, they would have made cool dreadnoughts for Thousand Suns, but that's a little smaller than I expected. And here is the torso. Tiny, tiny, tiny. I'm not sure what this is. Some kind of... Oh, it's his hand. Okay. So that's one of our jackals. That's surprising. I was expecting those to be a lot bigger. But that's my own misconception. So, like I said, I have not seen much in the way of representation of this game, unfortunately. Got the energy shield here for the other jackal. I guess if you have access to a resin printer and if you wanted to play around with casting some in there, that might be really cool. Or doing something to fill in that gap there. Maybe it would help if I turn the head the right way. And if you've never experienced Artel W's models, they really are cast nicely as I throw them. So I believe this is a... I was going to say it's a close combat. Nope, that looks like a flamethrower or something. And that is different than the weapon for the other one. Can you mix and match them? I'm not sure. I'll have to check the rules. Leg, hands. And then finally we should have Tetsui. Not Tetsuo. Or Kaneda. So she's got this kind of weird dabbing pose. Very near future cyberpunk looking. That little mini jetpack drone thingy. I'm not sure what this is. I don't even know how it's supposed to attach. I believe these cables go on the back. Here is one of her hands, I believe. It's supposed to be like touching the visor. I think that's her head. And here's her other hand. Okay, we got both arms there. Good. All right. She does feel a little small, but maybe that's just me. Obviously, putting her together, we'll get a better idea. I do like the little control console on her arm. Definitely a nice touch if you're in the mood for something cyberpunk. So, give me a moment. We will get these guys all put together, and we'll see how they look. All right, we got our Hydraphilia starter set all put together here. We'll start off. This is the behemoth. And I have no idea where I put any of the bases, so I'm going to just include a Space Marine for a standard scale measurement here. This thing probably belongs on like a, I want to say it was a 50mm base. It's been a while since I filmed the first part of this video, and I honestly can't tell you now. The size of it, I think it actually would make a really cool walking tank for 15mm stuff, to be honest. I mean, I will give the rules a good look-see and see if I can talk anybody into playing once we're able to get out of the house and get together to play again. But it was fairly easy to build. Going along with that, we have the Beetle. And the Beetle was one of the kits that I had some questions about. I ended up with a couple of leftover parts, and I want to say they were with the Beetle, and I have absolutely no idea where they're supposed to go. The challenge with both the Behemoth and the Beetle, though, was trying to get those feet all attached and level. But that always seems to be the challenge with models like this. I don't know if that's the base you're supposed to be on, but that's the base you're on now. After that, we had the jackals. Again, I really wish these were a little bit bigger. They're not all that large. They're a little bit larger than a human. He doesn't want to stand. Let me get a base for him. That's better. So you can see, my hope had been that they'd be these towering monstrosities, but really they're much more in line with a human scale. Which isn't bad to say. I mean, I don't want to sound like it's all doom and gloom. Then after that, we have the Dragonfly. And this is an interesting one because there was nothing really to support it. Now, there is a flight base, but I'm not going to bother with it at the moment because obviously I need to paint this before I attach that. And again, it kind of looks like it would be a pretty, maybe an unmanned drone in 15mm. And then our last member of the starter is Tetsui, who is doing the most epic dab. Or good enough dab. I'm not sure if she's supposed to be wearing pants or not, but I think I'm going to paint her like that. Back on the base you go. She also had that little drone that looks like Mazinga Z's hover builder. I mean, I see those VTOL binders, boosters, whatever you want to call them, and it just, that's the first thing that comes to mind here. Now, what's funny is this one actually does have, a slot to put a flight base on. It's like almost as thick as this, and I don't really see a whole lot of space to include it on the base with her just because of her pose. So I'm not sure, and I don't think that it had its own separate card. I think there were only 6 cards. I don't have the cards handy with me at the moment, but the box did show it posed with her, kind of like on her shoulder. So I'm not really 100% sure where that's going to go or where I'm going to put it. Maybe it'll just get its own base by itself. So I don't really have a whole lot of other models, unfortunately, to really compare it to, because I don't really have a whole lot of other cyberpunk stuff at the moment. Now, obviously, there's stuff like Necromunda, which I guess technically it fits size-wise. I mean, if you wanted to use this for like an ambot or some kind of mining thing, but then again, you look at it and it's covered with missile batteries, so I'm not 100% sure that's the wisest of choices. If you're looking to fit it in, I don't know, what do you guys suggest? Because to me, my first thought is I wanted to give it a try, and I don't have a whole lot of cyberpunk stuff anyways. I do have, what is that game called? The Human Interface, Be a Better Human board game, which I was going to show off eventually anyways. So I want to say, what is it? There's Reality's Edge from Osprey. But, you know, any kind of post-apocalyptic always needs a nice high-tech faction as well if you're going to do that kind of route. So we'll figure something out to use them with, and I kind of like the orange and black paint scheme that Artel W has on the website, so I might try something similar, but we'll get to them eventually. It's not like we don't have a million other things to paint. So overall, a really cool-looking set of models. Again, my only real disappointment, and it's more on me than anything else, is the mechs, which I had hoped would be a tad bit larger, but, you know, it's not the end of the world. Anyways, hopefully this has been helpful to you, and hopefully you guys have found this useful. If you've been curious about the game, I will put a link down below as well. With that said, this is High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we'll see you back here soon. Bye-bye.